My partner and I recently bought a house. The day of closing, the selling realtor tells us the seller didn't give her the keys to the house and claims to have never had a garage door opener. When asked about what we can do to obtain the keys, the selling realtor says the seller works an hour away and long hours, so we couldn't get the keys until 9 or 10 at night. Instead, the selling realtor arranged and paid for new locks on the front door and gave us money to buy garage door openers. So, we close on the house and everything is smooth sailing until when I go to set up and turn on our electricity, the electric company says they can't turn on our power until the next day, even though I called in the morning. The house needed a good cleaning as the seller didn't bother to clean when they moved out. Let me first tell you about the house layout. When you walk through the front door, it opens to the living room with the kitchen off to the left side. A nice open concept. Part of the kitchen is hidden from the front door due to stairs leading to the basement, so you can't even see the oven or the fridge. The neighborhood is one of the safest neighborhoods in my area. I had to use the front door to move things in since the locks were installed before I came by, so I didn't bother locking the front door. Okay, moving on with the story. Since I didn't have electricity, I decided to start by cleaning the fridge. I turn on a true crime, true horror podcast and get to work. The doors to the fridge are wide open, and I'm doing my thing when a shadow appears behind me. I knew this wasn't my partner because he was teaching. I turn around to see a man in a black hoodie and black shorts, telling me he is here to drop off a garage door opener. He drops the opener on the island and doesn't say another word. I probably spooked him just as much as he spooked me, because he didn't say another word and ran out the door. It took me a while to compose myself again and call my partner. It was a very weird interaction. I thought about if I just didn't hear a knock because I was in the zone, but he didn't knock. I know this because less than an hour later another man knocked on the door and explained that he was here to drop off a key to the front door. And if you tried the doorbell, I didn't hear it because there wasn't electricity. We are still doing work on the house before we officially move in. I'm now ultra spooked being in the house alone and refuse to listen to a true crime, true horror podcast while the house is empty. This may be a ramble of thoughts, but after recently stumbling on this sub, I finally found a place I could offer something that my family and I experienced a few years ago that to this day gives me chills. I've been camping, solo backpacking and hunting my whole life in Oregon, and felt comfortable in the woods and have a deep respect for nature. A few years ago, my wife, daughter, and 2 German shepherds went camping north of Mount Jefferson, Oregon. I've included the coordinates of our campsite, which we found to be the perfect setup for us and our 2 dogs, who need the privacy since they are intimidating to other dog owners and can be loud when spooked. It was not an established campsite, just a nice horseshoe off a USFS road that had flat ground full trees and a fire pit. The first night my daughter wanted to sleep by herself in a 2-man tent right next to ours. It was maybe 2 feet away from me and my wife's tent. We made the male German Shepherd sleep, Guts is his name, with her in the tent. That whole first night neither my wife and I could sleep. We both heard footsteps, and they were heavy, not like typical forest critters scampering around the night. I was well armed because I was paranoid from reading recently before departing about a dad in California who was shot and killed in a tent next to his 2 infant daughters. Needless to say, both my wife and I had 2 pistols and my rifle with me. The dogs are great at detection, and that is why I felt my daughter could sleep alone, because Guts is completely fearless, and nothing would lay a hand on her without a battle to the death. All in all, nothing but bad vibes and loud footsteps occurred that night, which I ultimately decided was a deer or maybe some elk. Day 2, morning. We go for a walk down the road, and maybe 300 feet away we see the circle area in the photo. I see an abandoned road where a rusted gate was covered in vegetation. Something of blue color caught my eye, and Guts immediately takes off running down this abandoned road. My heart begins to race, because I think it's another family camping like us, and he is going to get himself shot or scare some innocent people to death. I chase after him as fast as I can, and the rest follow. He stops after 20 feet into the road, and me yelling his name, but I have covered just enough distance to see that there is nobody there, and something is off about the sight. I yell, "Hello, is anyone there? Sorry about the dog." I got no response. My curiosity gets the best of me, and I have to see what the site conditions were. As I get closer, I know something is wrong. It had all the necessities for a campsite, including a cooler, propane burner, tent, blankets, folding table, but every single item had been completely destroyed, smashed and torn from what appeared to be claw marks. We walked around in circles, puzzled why anyone would leave all their camping gear behind, including an expensive REI tent. I figured, well, someone left in a hurry, and animals got to the rest as the only logical explanation. Still, a propane tank and cooler were flattened by something, and it certainly wasn't snow-packed with tree coverage in that spot. As the afternoon rolls on, me and my daughter are playing bogey ball at the campsite, and my wife goes walking maybe 70 feet north to do her business. I do not have direct line of sight on her, but all of a sudden I see Gut make a mad dash straight towards her. Normally he would always be with me, unless he is called over. She didn't call for him. His speed and focus caught my attention, and I knew something weird was happening. So I ran over there, and my wife starts jogging towards me, and I immediately draw my pistol. Guts has completely continued running into the forest another 100 feet before I call him and he stops. My other dog, Leah, who never misses the opportunity to be the pack leader, is not taking point. I have had her for now 7 years, and this was the first time in her life she refused to leave my daughter's side. She was full hair raised and attached to us at the hip. Again, anytime we hike or play, Leah is up front bossing everything in her path and pauses to look to see where we are, and continues. I asked my wife what happened, and she said, "I was trying to pee, and all of a sudden I felt all my hairs raise, and I knew someone was watching me. And then I saw Guts running towards me, and I just got up to move towards you." We spent 10 minutes looking for signs of anything. Saw no trails, broken branches, nothing to point out what and where something went. We decide we're spending one more night since it's too late to pack up and drive, but we will all be in the big tent together tonight. Before we go to bed, I put a rope with a makeshift coin alarm around the perimeter of our campsite. I used a mint can and some coins and keys from our truck and zip-tied it so anything hitting the rope would give a little jingle. Very unsophisticated, but it put my wife at ease. As I go to tie my last corner off a tree near our tent, our third mystery item unveils itself. It looks like someone has done the same exact thing I have done with a rope that was so old and brown, I didn't see it at first. It was broken and only a few pieces remained, but sure enough it was tied at roughly the same height, 8 to 10 inches off the ground, and even had a few rusted washers on it. I immediately felt someone had stayed there before, and I put the makeshift warning system on the same tree I am maybe 10 to 15 years ago, based on the condition of the rope. Perhaps my paranoia has now reached a new height, but I had to make sure the girls felt we were safe at that time. Perhaps my paranoia has now reached a new height, but I had to make sure the girls felt we were safe at the time. The only thing I could think of was when the evening came around, I made them sit in the truck and I fired a clip of my .45 into the dirt as a signal to whatever was out there that we were armed. I reassured the girls that anybody listening to that knows we have 2 wolves and are armed, and we're too risky of a target, so we can sleep safely. That night we heard no footsteps, and the dogs never perked up and barked. We left early the next morning. Fast forward to today, and I watched the Amazon Missing 411 Hunted documentary, and I noticed a cluster smack dab close to where we camped that weekend, and a flood of dread rushes through me, and I think of that mysterious abandoned campsite with a ripped tent and smashed cooler and cooktop. We have been camping since and have enjoyed the beauty of the Northwest, but there was something there at that place that possibly took or harmed someone else less than 300 feet from where we camped, and we all thank our lucky stars Guts was doing his thing so well that day. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe for future videos. Email your true scary stories to thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. My email will be linked in the description box below as well. Until we meet again, stay sinful.